Patchnotes. Patchnotes, you say? Preliminary patchnotes? I think we should probably have a read of these. I saw the announcement for these when I was at work, which is why I am wearing my work clothes. I've just got back. What time is it? It's 4 o'clock on the evening. Just got back from a day of teaching, and I'm going to read through some patch notes because I want to know what kind of things we can look forward to in patch 6.0. So let's get started before people in the comments section start moaning that I blah 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 too much. Clearly they've not watched any of my other videos if they think that's just limited. So, it is with great pleasure that we present the preliminary patch notes for Final Fantasy XIV ENDWALKER. Packed with a multitude of additions and refinements, adventurers of every persuasion are sure to find something to enjoy in this exciting new update. You'd hope so, wouldn't you? Additional features will be implemented in future versions. The Raid Pandemonium is scheduled to be released in 6.01. Treasure Hunts Instance, the Excitatron 6000 and the Raid Pandemonium Savage are scheduled to be released in 6.05. So they're both in January, I think. Crystal Conflict, the new PvP content, is planned for 6.1 or later. Please remember to confirm the early access details. Yeah, so there was a post, I think it was yesterday, about early access and the measures that they are putting in place for the fairly likely situation with congestion and stuff like that. So let us take a look through these patch notes. We're not going to watch the trailer. We've seen the trailer already. So let's move onwards. So it's broken up into several categories. As always, we've got playable content, areas, leaves, treasure hunt, housing, miscellaneous, battle system. That's the bit that I mostly like to see. Yeah, what kind of changes have they made to the jobs? PvP. I won't spend much time on that. Sorry, PvP fans, but I've never done it and I've no interest in it. Items, systems, quest, fates. Actually, that's all part of that section, isn't it? They've had to come up with a different colour for this little section here. They always do this. Right. Playable content areas. New cities have been added. So we've got Old Charlian, which we've seen a little bit of in the trailers. I do love that giant statue. I think that's very cool. We have got a nice veranda. We've got Razadhan, which looks really cool. I'm still not 100% sold on it. I kind of feel like it looks a little bit flat despite all the colours. I'm really interested to see how my perception of that changes actually with the depth of moving through it, because you don't have any of that currently. New field areas. So we've got Labyrinthos, which is the underground bunker style thing with the big holographic wall. We've got Thavnir, which I really like the artwork for Thavnir. It's got a really cool feel to it. We've got Garlemald, which looks a mess. I know some people are a little bit sad that they don't get to explore Garlemald at its height. Is that the Aetheryte for Garlemald? That looks very cool. I like that. We've got the Mare Lamentorum, so the Sea of Cries, the Sea of Sadness, the Sea of Laments, which is the area on the moon that we're visiting. And yeah, definite acid thing. Additional new areas have been omitted to prevent spoilers. Interesting that is plural. New areas have been omitted. Obviously, in Shadowbringers, they did not tell us about the Tempest. They certainly didn't tell us about being able to explore the city of Amarot. So that's interesting. New city and field Aetherites. Yeah, that is the Garlemald. I guess Garlemald's going to be a fairly big area to explore. It gives me the vibe of the Western Curthan Highlands with the snow and stuff. So maybe it'll be that kind of size, except without the big gorge and cliff faces in. The number of ether currents in all Heavensward, Stormblood and Shadowbringers areas has been reduced. Furthermore, the location of certain ether currents has been adjusted. Interesting. So they've changed how flying works. I know there was some critique that maybe there were too many and it was a little bit too fiddly. I was never bothered by it. I liked the, going around these new zones and occasionally hitting the compass button to see if there was an ether current nearby. It was very rarely a chore, but I'm somebody who naturally likes exploring and goes off the beaten track anyway. So it was never an issue for me. But it's interesting that they've chosen now to do something about that. That's an interesting choice. Quests. Patch 6.0 introduces myriad quests in addition to the main scenario. You'd hope so, really, for an expansion that you paid for. As such, there may be cases where the patch notes only cite the initial quest in the series or omit quests entirely to prevent spoilers. We encourage players to explore and discover what new stories and adventures await. Which reminds me, I still haven't done that quest from 2.0 where you have to go guided on the clues and there's no objective markers. I keep meaning to do that, and I haven't. I don't even know what you get for it. So that all players are able to enjoy the expansion, we kindly ask everyone to please be considerate and do their best to avoid posting spoiler-related content on the official forums, Lodestone, social media and videos. As for those players who may start at the official launch, I'll play at their own pace. I will be releasing videos on Endwalker stuff, but it will all be spoiler warninged, and obviously it will be my normal kind of dissection of the story, me doing some terrible voice acting for characters in the non-voiced bits, and just probably a lot of speculation. Because this is the ending of essentially a 5-act story. And as a writer and English teacher, that is kind of my jam. So expect speculation. Most of the speculation that I've done for the quests and storylines so far, I've talked about in previous videos. I probably should go back and write those all down and see whether I was right or not. But yeah, so there is a warning about posting stuff on social media. I won't be posting stuff straight away. In fact, for most of the early access period, I will just be playing. And I'll be putting videos together, but they won't be launched, I don't think, until after early access. Just because I know I'll miss out on the clicks. But, yeah, well, we'll see what other people are doing there. New main scenario quest added. Surprise! That's a massive... Ooh, Quail looks sad at flowers. What is this? That's not Xenos, is it? Intriguing. Love the colour work. So we've got Sad Quail, we've got the twins, we've got Thancred looking up at... That's a boat in Limsa, isn't it? Don't know what's going on there. Oh, is that Estinian? That might be Estinian. New side story quests have been added. Side story quests added in patch 6.0 will employ an automatic level adjust system known as Quest Sync. Quests using this system will have their difficulty and XP rewards adjusted to match your current level. I still have not completed all of the side quests from Shadowbringers, let alone the quests from the other expansions. I've got like 2 zones out of all of them done. Role quests. Physical DPS role quests added in patch 6.0 have been divided into 2 categories, melee and physical ranged. We knew that was going to happen. Interesting that we have Hien. What's her name? I've forgotten. What's the face ninja? I keep going to say Yasuo, but it's not her. It'll come back to me. And Canisena, interestingly enough, is part of the role quest. What's her name? I'll put it up on the screen. So, tank, starting at Razadhan. Got to get to a certain point in the Endwalker main story. I assume it will be reasonably early on that we'll start the quest line, and it will go in stages as it did do in Shadowbringers because it worked well. In fact, it just says that there. All 5 Roll Quest series will be added in a future update. That's an interesting turn of phrase. Will be added in a future update. Studium deliveries have been added. So this is where you go if you are a disciple of Hand or Land. You'll have a series of quests. That's a cool looking interface. So this will be your collectibles and your turn-ins. I've still not done any crafting. I'm pretty certain I said at the start of Shadowbringers that one of my goals for Shadowbringers was to dabble in crafting a little bit more. I literally haven't. I did get 3 levels on armor for an expert delivery thing that I turned into the Grand Company. I don't think that really counts as dabbling in crafting. So we've got some stuff in the different faculties of the studium for those individuals. Certain instance battles will now display character portraits alongside the battle dialogue widget. I've been asking for that for about 3 expansions. Thank you, team. Clearly, they have listened to me. Character portraits have only been added to instance battles appearing in the main scenario of Endwalker. They can be disabled by unchecking the display character portraits with battle dialogue widgets. So the battle dialogue widget is the one that comes up kind of, I think by default, and I'm not actually entirely sure you can move it. It comes up in kind of the top kind of third of the screen. And because it's not there very long usually, it can be quite difficult to tell who's actually saying things. So that's really, really useful. When viewing cutscenes in the Unending Journey, class quests and job quests, up to and including those introduced in the 4.x patches, will require players to change to the relevant class or job. That's interesting. I wonder why they've done that. What were people doing that will require them to do that? I suspect maybe some database streamlining has happened, and that might have changed the way it works a little bit. Don't know. Leaves. New tradecraft and fieldcraft leaves have been added, so that they're definitely doing the whole leaves are for crafters and gatherers. If you're a battle class, no need to worry about this anymore. Experience points rewarded when using a class at level 80 or above to complete a leave with a level requirement below 80 have been capped at 1,000, so you can't stash them up and do stuff. With consideration for the inflation of gil and the potential rewards for using a single leave allowance, the following adjustments have been made. XP and gil reward for tradecraft leaves that only allow a single turn-in have been increased. XP and gil reward for tradecraft leaves that allow multiple turn-ins have been reduced. Experience points and gil reward for Fisher Fieldcraft leaves that only allow a single turn has been increased, and XP and gil for Fisher Leafcraft leaves that allow multiple turns have been reduced. Yeah, so it's to do with the way rewards have been scaled. It's not possible to make a direct comparison of rewards before and after the release of patch 6.0 because of the downscaling of in-game values. When undertaking Fisher Fieldcraft leaves that require spearfishing, the number of fish required for completion has been increased. Yeah, I seem to recall somebody mentioning at some point that they were an exceptionally fast way of leveling up the spearfishing things. New fates have been added. Surprise. They're keeping the bicoloured gemstone system in 6.0 areas. This is good. I actually quite enjoyed doing that. I got a lot of levels on a lot of secondary jobs. Just by grinding fates, and I was quite happy to do so. Although it does mean that my Bozja rank is really low because I enjoyed this bit. As you continue to complete fates in this new area, gemstone traders will offer a wide selection of wares, shared fate, and the travel. So exactly the same system. I like the fact that they've got these blanked out because they're not dumb. But interestingly, it looks like Labyrinthos might be... Did these open up in order? Actually, I don't think they did they? In Shadowbringers. I don't think that it was like left, right, left, right, left, right. I think... Because obviously we had a choice of where we went to. Wonder if we're going to get a choice this time. Don't know. I mean, it's not like I actually did much once I got the gemstones. I think I've probably been capped at 1,000 for ages because I don't remember spending them on anything. I know that you're supposed to get good cash for a lot of the HQ materials, but that would require having a brain and forethought, and I have neither of these things. Treasure hunt, I've still not done. No, I've done treasure hunts. I haven't done the canalsy thing, whatever that's called. Following additions and adjustments have been made to treasure maps. Our Mr. Skin treasure maps and Cumbria Skin treasure maps have been added, so these are the new ones. Glider Skin and Zonia Skin treasure maps have been adjusted. I'm assuming those are the ones from 5.x. Tombstones rewarded for completion of treasure maps introduced prior to 6.0 have been changed from Revelation to Poetics. Of course they have. Starting in patch 6.05, which is in January, I think, there will be a chance for a teleportation portal to appear when completing Cumbria Skin treasure maps, which will take you into the treasure dungeon thing. The Dungeon of Lygear and the Shifting Oubliettes of Lygear will now be level synced, adjusting player levels to 80. I assume that's what they did in the previous versions. Additional items will now be accepted for supply and provisioning missions, so that will allow you to level things up with turn-ins. Reaper and Sage symbol options have been added to company quests. Surprise. New craftable items have been added to the company workshop. Surprise. Following company actions have been replaced with new actions. Back on your feet and back on your feet too have become fleet-footed and fleet-footed too. I don't know what back on your feet does. Back on your feet reduces the duration of weakness after being revived by 15%. I didn't know that. I don't think my free company has ever used it. Interestingly, nothing about new ranks. There's a whole list of Grand Company ranks that just aren't used, and I would really like something more interesting to use my Grand Company seals on. Something that for generally a solo player to get something out of it, because at the moment I can pretty much just use them for crafting materials or maelstrom tickets to teleport me back to the aft castle from wherever, and I've got hundreds of those now, and I've got thousands of ventures. So I'd like new ranks so that we could do something new with the Grand Companies, especially if we're kind of wrapping up this storyline. Housing! Following the successful restoration of the firmament, well done those of you who were involved in that. I was not because, crafting. A new housing district, Imperium, has been added to Ishgard. That looks really cool. By completing the following quest, players will be able to teleport to the residential district directly via the Ethernet in Foundation. Gondolimbaud is who you need to go to. Please note that players will only be able to visit the first ward of Imperium upon the release of patch 6.0. The sales of plots and apartments is from 6.1. So you can go and take a look around to see how cool it is, because clearly it is, but you won't be able to actually do anything there yet. The lottery sales system is scheduled to be implemented in 6.1. It will no longer be possible to relocate an estate to plot of land that are not yet ready for purchase. Furnishings from the Furnishing Design Contest from 2017 and 2019 have been added. Fat cat plushy rug, which is cool. Swing on a tree, that's fun. I assume you'll be able to sit on that. I wonder if you'll be able to get it to swing. New furnishings, I have no idea which of these are new and which of them are not. It could be that they're all like the floor. That flooring's quite nice, as is this. That's a cool room. A little bit grey for my liking. That thing in the corner is interesting. Reminds me of the Sunken Temple of Khan. No idea what that is there. Crafting facility furnishings can now be used by crafting classes up to level 80. Could they not before? In accordance with the increased character level cap, level 90 striking dummies have been added. Surprise. New orchestrion roles have been added. Surprise! New fish have been added. And I say surprise because it's not a surprise. They're adding new fish constantly. While viewing the aquarium fish window, fish will now be separated into tabs according to size. That's handy. I don't use it because I do have a little fish tank actually in my apartment, and I think it's had the same fish in it since I started. Don't know. New seeds for flower pots have been added. Shock horror. Trutelia seeds can be purchased from the following NPCs. Oh, that's a new seed, so it's just the one. Gold saucer. New prizes are available for purchase using MGP. Yes, excellent. Is this the entire thing new, or is it just the? I don't know. Following additions and changes have been made to Triple Triad. New cards have been added. Biggest surprise yet. New NPC opponents for Triple Triad have been added. Players can now engage in Triple Triad matches in new areas. Gasp. The surprises on store here. On store? On display. I know what I'm talking about. Oh dear, this scroll bar is not moving very fast. You can't see it actually because I've cut it off. We're about quarter of the way down. Let's speed this up. Players can now select male Vieira when creating a character. Regardless of your progression in the MSQ, male Vieira will be selectable when creating new characters, editing your character's appearance using Fantasia, or hiring a retainer. That's interesting. Regardless of your progression in the main scenario. Why have they put that there? Did things used to be locked? Don't know. New hairstyle options have been added for female Vieira. Hopefully more than just this one, because quite frankly, I don't like it. It's gonna be... Yeah, we've got the Derplander face. It's gonna take a really interesting hairstyle to actually make me change off the one that I've been using for demo. Because I really like the kind of over-the-shoulder wave thing. So we'll have to see what the new ones are. I did hear, I think it was in one of Zeppler's videos, that they were adding in a lot of the default hairstyles that they've made work. But realistically, I don't care too much about hairstyles. I want Vieira to be able to wear Bard and Red Mage hats. The fact that the Vieira cannot wear Red Mage hats, which I believe are part and parcel of their distinct look, the fact that that hasn't been sorted yet is not great. So yeah, we've got the kind of stubbly... I don't like that hairstyle, but we've got stubble for male Derplanders. Sorry, Midlander hires. Trust system. Estinian has been added as a new avatar NPC. I assume he will take the place of Reen. In fact, it says there, Estinian cannot accompany players into Shadowbringers dungeons because Reen, I assume, will take his place as a possibility there. He'll become available after progressing to a certain point in the main scenario. Well, we've got to go off and recruit him, haven't we? In accordance with the increased character level cap, the level cap for avatar NPCs has also been increased. Avatar NPCs can reach a maximum level of 90. Both avatars and scenario mode will become available after completing the main scenario quest, Shadowbringers. What was scenario mode? I don't know what scenario mode was. When all NPC avatars reach level 80, you will unlock scenario mode, allowing you to challenge new main scenario dungeons with NPC avatars that appear in their related quests. What? Why have I never heard of this? When was this implemented? I know that once you get them to 80, you could change their appearance. I've literally never heard of this scenario mode thing. This is absolutely new information to me. When was this introduced? I don't know. But the requirements for unlocking it have been removed. So I'll be able to do it straight away, because not all of my Trust NPCs are level 80. I've been trying to get them up, but Trust dungeons are so slow. I did the... It wasn't Malik as well. No, I did the Katana Ravel with my guys last week, I think it was. And it took 45 minutes. Admittedly, I screwed up on, I think, actually every boss fight, which is what added to the length of it. Because, you know, if you die, it just resets instantly. And I got caught in a bad situation. I actually followed an NPC and was standing on an NPC, but sometimes the NPCs can ignore mechanics, and I wasn't able to, so I died. But yeah, 45 minutes for Trust. They still take 35, 40 minutes. It's much longer than a normal dungeon, and it's because they don't do AoEs. I'm really hoping that they will do AoEs. So yes, scenario mode, that's a thing. The amount of XP required for avatars to gain levels will be reduced in accordance with the downscaling of other in-game values. Good. Amount of XP rewarded upon completing dungeons will also be adjusted. Because the database must be overwritten to implement the downscaling of values, any experience points accumulated between levels prior to the release of patch 6. Oh, is that for... Ooh. I have no idea whereabouts. Actually, I think in that Katana Ravel run that I did... I think the 2 of the NPCs that I took with me actually just leveled up. But to be fair, the amount of XP that they get is really good. It's just too long because they don't do AoEs. Maybe they'll have fixed that. Actually, that's kind of one of my biggest hopes for Endwalker, is that they will make them better. I know that means that it will take away from the social aspect of the dungeons, but sometimes I just want to do something chill, but I still want to do that thing that is chill at a reasonable pace, and Trust Dungeons, for me, felt like a real drag. Wondrous Tales. I know a lot of people were saying that, you know, if you want to properly prep for Endwalker, you should fill out your Wondrous Tales thing and get that ready to hand in. I got one. I didn't do it. I've still got a little bit of time today, actually, because it's only the 1st. I've got until tomorrow morning to get something done if I want to. Prizes available in exchange for Chloe's Gold Certificate of Commendation, Chloe's Silver Certificate, and Chloe's Bronze Certificate have been adjusted. Following duties have been added as objectives. What have we got there? Oh, gold. That's the Whirlit stuff, and I still haven't done it. I still haven't done Emerald and Diamond Weapon. I'm so bad. I knew there was something I needed to do. I'm not in the mood for it tonight. Crud. Sightseeing Log. Excellent. I love the Sightseeing Log because it rewards exploration. And that's my jam, especially in new zones. Following additions and changes have been made to the challenge log. New categories. Successfully... These look like... Yeah, these are for gatherers. Successfully trigger the gatherer's boon effect. Catch of the day. Spearfishing. Supply and provisioning. Following categories were removed. Oh, that's for HQ stuff because they're not doing HQing as much anymore, are they? Skywatcher NPCs. Special requirements must be met for certain locations offering weather forecasts. That's fair enough. Level cap has been raised to 90. Reaper Sage jobs have been added. These jobs have no corresponding classes and begin at level 70. Reaper can be unlocked by completing the Killer Instinct in Uldar. So that's where you want to be logging off. In an in-room, preferably, so that you can get a slightly faster login. But the Killer Instinct is where you want to go for Reaper. Sage is Limsa. And again, lower decks in Limsa, so you'll want to be logging off probably in the in-room for that. In accordance with the addition of these new jobs, gear for Reaper and Sage has been added to the rewards for certain duties and will now be sold by merchant NPCs. Please note, however, that Reaper and Sage cannot be used in the Hall of the Novice, nor can they receive the first-time completion bonus from guild hests. Fair enough. Actions and traits have been adjusted. That's very vague, isn't it? There's normally a long list there of the things that have been changed, but I did note that the play guide has not yet been updated with the new bits, so maybe they're still tweaking those numbers. Sick has been removed. Time frame within which players must execute actions to continue or complete combos has been extended. That's good, because sometimes between pulls and you've got like the third hit of your combo ready, and you're running and you're running and you're running, and you get into combat, or you're waiting for the tank to get into combat, and just as you get there, it falls off. I mean, it's not a big deal, but it's nice that they've changed it. Following actions and adjustments have been made to limit breaks. Use of limit breaks will no longer cancel action combos. The range of effect for the healer limit break has been increased from 30 to 50 arms. That's basically the size of any arena in the game, isn't it? 50 arms. I don't think there's any arenas that you might have to use a level 3 limit break on that are bigger than that. Maybe there are. Let me know in the comments down below if there are any arenas. Obviously, I don't do a huge amount of high-end content, so I don't know on that one. In order to curb the inflation of game data, such as HP and damage, values used in battle calculations have been downscaled. So this is the level squish, or stat squish thing. As a result of this change, various battle-related system values, including gear and material attributes, as well as the potency of meals and medicine, because I pay attention to any of those things. I'm still eating boiled eggs just for the XP. Will be reduced accordingly. Please note, however, that these changes will have little to no effect on game balance. In other words, it shouldn't affect nothing. Anything. Grammar. Player attributes have been adjusted as follows. Weapon damage will be adjusted to achieve parity between the physical and magical damage attributes of weapons at the same item level. Action potencies will be adjusted. The effect of determination on damage dealt has been increased, so they're trying to make determination a little bit more of a thing. That's good, because I actually quite liked it as a stat. The determination and piety attributes of certain low-level gear have been adjusted to match values of their critical hit and direct attributes. Again, value and change of values is minor and will not affect game balance. The effects of certain monster and NPC actions have been adjusted. That's massively vague. I suppose there's probably a lot of things that have been tweaked or changed behind the scenes there, so they're not going to list all of those. This is something that I'm super interested in. XP changes. Amount of XP required to level up Disciple of War, magic classes and jobs has been adjusted due to the downscaling of values. In accordance with this change, adjustments have also been made to the following. XP earned for defeating enemies, XP earned for duties, duty roulette, guild leaves, beast tribes, daily marks, challenge logs. The army bonus granted for below level 80 has been increased from 50 to 100%, as they do every time. They leave the top 10 levels at 50%, and they take the previous 10 levels that were 50% and bump them up. From level 80 onward, the army bonus is 50% in XP gained from defeating enemies in Fate rewards. Has it always been Fate rewards? Yes, I think it has. But, again, could be wrong. Tell me down in the comments if I am. Because I don't actually pay a huge amount of attention to Fates in terms of the XP gained, unless I've got, like, the Twist of Fate buff or whatever. So nothing surprising with that. The status effect True Self has been changed to Indomitable Spirits. Status effect is applied during instant quest battles wherein players control NPC allies and the difficulty has been set to easy or very easy. The effect of the status effect has not changed. I've never actually, that I can remember, I've never actually had to lower the difficulty of those. In fact, I forgot it existed until the other day when it pops up. I can't even remember what I was doing. I think it might have been... It would have been a level 80 duty for a job quest, I think. Maybe. Don't know. In accordance with the increased level cap, new world and preferred world character bonuses now apply to all jobs at level 79 or below. Please refer to Lodestone for article for information. New enemies? What the frick is that? It's a stretched cactuar. That's a slender sabotender. If that's not what they're called, I will be disappointed. He looks fun. Chunky lizard boy. That's a stag. Not the most exciting new enemy they could show off. And that looks like a huggable dog gubu with scaly legs. Interesting. New dungeons have been added. Spoilers, spoilers, spoilers. Avoid, avoid, avoid. We've got a snowy one. We've got the fiery one. We've got the train one. We've got the Tower of Zot, I think it is. XP points previously earned from standard dungeon enemies will now be earned from dungeon bosses. So it looks like they're cutting out XP from the enemies entirely. And everything is going on the boss. Okay. Items obtained from treasure coffers in the following dungeons have been adjusted. Players will now obtain gear corresponding with the required average item level of each dungeon. Okay. So they're changing the itemization for some of the kind of advanced Realm Reborn dungeons. Maybe there was a disparity between getting 50 and getting geared up for 51? Don't know. Maybe that's something that they felt needed to happen because of the stat squish. In accordance with increased level cap, players can now gain experience from level 80 dungeons, trials, and 5.x Alliance raid dungeons. So all of the level 80 content that didn't award anything, because why would it? Because it was the level cap, now awards things. New trials have been added. Hidden? That's a great name. What's in Hidden? When undertaking the Great Hunt and the Great Hunt Extreme, a new visual indication when shattering Rathalos' tail has been added. I still haven't done that, which is daft because I really like the mount from it, but I haven't done it. Unreal trials have been temporarily disabled. You can still exchange your foe leaves for various rewards, and a new Unreal trial is scheduled to be added in 6.1. Weapon coffers have been added to all of the extreme trials. A weapon received from weapon coffers is determined by your current job. When opening weapon coffers as a paladin, you will receive both a sword and a shield. Following the introduction of these weapon coffers, the items yielded from desynthesizing swords and shields obtained from this duty has been adjusted. Swords are now more likely to yield primal weapon crafting material, and desynthesized shields, however, will no longer yield them. Okay. So that adds to the amount of weapons that you can get, I assume. Gear obtained from treasure coffers in the following juices has been changed to gear coffers. Okay, so that's the binding coil. Turns 1 and 2. No. Turn 1, turn 2 savage. Is the binding coil turn 1? I don't know, it's been years since I've done the coils. Alexander and Omega savage. Yes. Accessories will drop as normal. Okay. Players will now receive the power of the Echo in the event all party members are incapacitated during the Cloud Deck and Cloud Deck Extreme. That's the Diamond Weapon fight, isn't it? Which I haven't done yet, because I am behind. Strength of the Echo granted to Eden's Promise Savage has been increased. The Echo will take effect upon entering Eden's Promise Savage, increasing players' maximum HP down. Blah, blah, blah. Same as normal. The Burning Field, an expansion of Stone Sky Sea. I'm trying to talk too fast because we're still not halfway through this yet. Probably because I keep getting distracted by things. So you've got to do a quest to access the level 90 dummies. Nothing new there, as expected. Players must first complete the final quest of the Endwalker MSQ and the quest A Striking Opportunity. Weekly restriction on receiving cracked stellar clusters upon clearing the Tower Paradigm's Breach has been removed. I haven't done that for ages. What is this? That is amazing. I wish to kill it. And also, I wish to have it as a minion to follow me around. If there is one, that will be my minion of choice for much of 6.0. That's a very pink flan. Fantastic. Players can now hunt regular and elite marks in new areas. Sacks of nuts can be exchanged for various items. Old Shyllian for that. Players must first complete the quest Elite and Dangerous and have progressed to a certain point in the MSQ. So, yeah. The hunt system as it has been for ages. Reaper and Sage Arms are available from the Deep Dungeon vendors in Realm Reborn areas and Stormblood areas. No, Heaven's... Well, I mean, it's technically a Realm Reborn area, but it's a Heaven's Ward feature, wasn't it? Players can now sort the Adventurers list by class job when undertaking duties in Eureka, Bolshia, or Delubran Reginae. Still not done any of those. I've never been to Eureka or Zadnor. I wanted to, but I just don't find the Bolshia contents interesting enough to be worth my time. I know some people love the grind, and I loved the grind back when I was playing Final Fantasy XI. I just haven't quite got the time for that anymore, though I have been using it to level up my jobs through the 70s. The error message that displays when attempting to use return while undertaking the Battle of Castrum Lacus Latore or the Delridia has been adjusted. Confirmation prompt will now display when attempting to abandon the aforementioned duties and return to Bosch and Southern Front of Zadna. Following additions and adjustments have been made to Delubran Reginae. Maximum waiting time to enter has been set to 10 minutes. Once the time limit has been reached, the players will enter the duty even if they have not reached the maximum party size. Parties comprised of less than 24 players will be granted the power of the Echo. That's a good change, because you do need to be able to do that to get the relics. And obviously, fewer and fewer people will be doing it. Fewer players will result in a stronger Echo effect. Elegant Tombstones of Aphorism have been added. This is the one with the cap of 2,000. Players can only receive Tombstones of Aphorism upon reaching level 90 with at least one Disciple of War or Magic. No weekly limitation. A secondary currency, the Astronomy Tombstones, will be available approximately 4 weeks after the start of service, so just into the new year for that. And there we've got a very typical diagram here of what happens to the tombstones. So, Revelation, Allegory and Revelation will no longer be obtainable. There'll be a brief transition period where you'll be able to exchange them. Phantasmagoria has been removed. Poetics will continue to function as normal. I'd love if they increase the cap on Poetics. I'm not entirely sure actually why there needs to be a cap on Poetics these days, because you can rack them up so quickly that constantly capping them out actually doesn't feel great. Following adjustments and additions have been made to the Duty Finder. Category names and the duties listed with each have been reorganised. Yeah, because they were probably going to run out of space along the top for icons. Undersized Party option has been renamed to Unrestricted Party. That's actually a good change. That makes slightly more sense. The fact that it's saying it was undersized actually kind of sold short what it actually did. 5.x duties can now be undertaken using the Unrestricted Party option. You probably won't want to do that until you hit 90. Certain duties will now grant the Epic Echo status when undertaken with the Unrestricted Party option enabled. So that is the way of fixing any issues that might occur from downscaling. Strength of this effect varies by duty level. Raid Finder now only lists trials and duties introduced with patch 6.0. However, Unending Coil Ultimate, Weapons Reframe Ultimate, so all three Ultimates can still be accessed to the Raid Finder. Duty Finder has been adjusted. Duties associated with its Duty Roulette category have been adjusted. Duty Roulette 50, 60, 70 dungeons and Duty Roulette 80 dungeons have been combined. I'm still not entirely certain of the... Well, no, I know the point of it is to continue the MSQ. But does anybody really use it? Because the XP for it, as far as I remember the last time I checked, the XP for it was not great. Type and number of Allegan tombstones received from each Duty Roulette has been adjusted. Nothing new there. That will be exactly the same kind of adjustments that we get every time where they change things around. I pretty much only do leveling and alliance raids, if I'm honest. I very rarely do the duty roulette expert. I probably should. Calculations for experience points earned by Chocobo companions have been adjusted. Mine's been capped for years. So that is of no use to me, but if you are leveling up your Chocobo still, you'll easily get it to rank 20. PvP actions for Reaper and Sage have been added. Season 20 will end and a new pre-season will begin. Special rewards for PvP teams that have got a certain rank. New items have been added. These will not be listed in the patch notes, but here we have got some cool looking armory bits based on Final Fantasy IV. So this is Rydia's outfit, which we've got there. I can't remember. Is that Sabin's outfit? We've got Edge's ninja outfit, Cecil's paladin, Rosa's healer outfit. I can't tell what that is because it's on a Lalafell. Stop putting things on Lalafell. And we've got Kane's dragoon stuff there, though obviously he'd probably look better with the helmet. New recipes added. Certain additional recipes can now be crafted using quick synthesis. New items can be submitted or desynthesized. Number of slots allotted to the main hand and ring tabs of the armor chest has been increased to 50, which is handy. Description for items that increase XP points has been adjusted. No changes have been made. What's changed with that? Increases XP earned by 30% with level 13 below. I don't know what's different there. Reaper and Sage have been added as required jobs for certain gear. Gear for Reaper and Sage can be obtained from Grenolt in the Tempest. Cool. Got to complete the role quests with each job. Well, I've done all that, so that's fine. Sale prices have been adjusted. Following item names have been changed. Thigh boots has been changed to long boots. Okay. Heavenstone tickets have been changed. Flange has been changed to solorettes. Okay. Following items are no longer classified as unique, so you can wear 2 of them. A new system has been added, allowing players to dye artifact gear after progressing to a certain point in role quests and the main scenario. Sweet. So we get to dye our artifact gear after completing a quest. Awesome. I love that. That will add hugely to the amount of variety, and the number of bright pink dark knights will increase dramatically. I'm not taking part in that, obviously. That'll be other people, but I'm sure it'll happen. Following items are now dyeable. Furthermore, weathered has been removed from their names. Shadowbringer, Tristamis. What are these? These are the artifact weapons? Yeah, I think those are the artifact weapons. Following items can now be equipped regardless of gender. I like when they do this. The Thavnarian bustier can now be worn by men. Excellent. Butler's monocle, gloves, Lord Butler's jackets. What I want, desperately want, the level 80 aiming Neo-ish Guardian top is one of my favourite pieces of chest armour in the game. I think it's awesome, and it's so much better than a lot of the other Neo-ish Guardians. I want them to do what they did with the Sky Pirate stuff and make level 1 versions of that could be worn by anybody. Please make that happen, because I really like the Neo-ish Guardian stuff. The tank one is great, and I'm still wearing it as my glam of choice, actually, on my tanks. But I would change it for the aiming gear dyed black in a heartbeat if I could do. Just because, you know, I like it more. So make that happen, please. Not that any Squeenix devs are going to watch this video. In accordance with the downscaling of in-game values, the following battle-related adjustments: gear, materia, potencies. Potency, meal and healing items below level 50 has been increased. Interesting that they picked that out specifically. I guess they were worried about what the downscaling would do down there. Following adjustments have been made to weapons obtained from relic weapon quests. Secondary attributes have been adjusted automatically. All attributes on animal weapons have been reduced due to downscaling. Players will be given the opportunity to reallocate them. Piety has been removed from these items. Though that's lightning stuff. That's snow stuff. Do they still have stats? I thought they were cosmetic only. Maybe they do. I've had them in the armoire. I've just used them on glamour plates, haven't I? So I'd completely forgotten that they actually... Because they are wearable, aren't they? They're like level 5 or level 3 or something like that. You can wear them and get stats. Physical and magical defensive disciples of war gear that can be equipped by tank classes below level 50 has been increased. In light of this change, selecting recommended gear in the character window as a tank may no longer result in the selection of gear with low item levels, depending on what is available in your inventory. Don't know. Not sure on that one. Players can no longer cast lots on coffers containing multiple gear pieces if they contain a unique item the player already possesses. However, it is still possible to cast lots on coffers such as weapon coffers whose contents differ according to the player's current class or job when it was opened. That makes sense. The error message that displays when failing to open a chest containing unique items you already possess has been adjusted. Following changes have been made to belts. They're gone. Belts can no longer be equipped. Waist tab of the armor chest has been removed. Can no longer be repaired. Can no longer be extracted. Can no longer be affixed. That's something I should probably check. Do I have any belts with materia available? Can't be purchased. Can't be put up for sale. Will no longer appear if they're still up for sale. Can't be traded. Recipes removed. No longer available as quest rewards. Finally, when we regularly go to the Crystal Tower for stuff, and the first like 3 bosses all drop belts, we'll finally just get some glam options, which will be nice. No longer quest rewards, no longer rewards for instances, treasure hunts, guild leaves. Category for these items has been changed to unattainable. Before becoming obsolete due to advancements in tailoring, belts such as this were used for holding up trousers and the like. I like the fact that they have embraced the meme. Like, how are we going to hold the trousers up, Squeenix? Now we know. Advancements in tailoring have rendered belts obsolete. No longer required for the completion of supply missions, guild leaves, or obtained from gear coffers. I don't think I've got any gear coffers in my inventory that require opening for belts. Belts will be moved to the Calamity Salvager. Retrieve obsolete belts. Calculations used to determine average item level have been adjusted because of the removal of belts. In accordance with the removal of belts and the crafting recipes, the following changes have been made to achievement requirements. Oh yes, there were a few achievements from the Realm Reborn kind of highish level dungeon sets. They had belts. They no longer need them. A lot of armor, leather worker, weaver things have changed. Just because the number of recipes has come down. Speed belt can no longer be obtained from Eureka Pagos. A new item, Blitzring, can be obtained in its place. Players can exchange speed belts for Blitzrings by speaking with a Calamity Salvager. Cool, so you don't lose out on anything. Except maybe a ring slot that you've been using previously. Sundry Splendors, a one-stop shop for gear and items purchased in exchange for Allegan tombstones and scripts, has been added to the Crystarium after completing the MSQ. So the Rowena influence has somehow made its way onto the first. Damn her and her innovativeness. Icons indicating required currencies have been added to the drop-down of the item exchange menu. That's handy. I've never used one of these things. As you can probably tell, I'm trying to work out how the system works in my head. But that is handy. Following adjustments have been made to gear exchanges for tombstones of Phantasmagoria, Allegory, and Revelation. Gear that required the exchange for base item and upgrade material can now be obtained directly in exchange for the tombstones. Base items and upgrade materials for such gear can no longer be obtained. Players who possess the base item for such gear may upgrade them in exchange for... Oops. Players who possess the base item for such gear may upgrade them in exchange for 100 Alagon Tombstones of Poetics. So, the upgradable gear has just been made into... You purchase the upgraded stuff, which is good because the upgraded stuff is usually the dyeable version. And that just makes it easier to get for those bits that you really liked but you didn't buy. Maximum amount of crystal sand and umbrite required to complete an animal weapon has reduced from 80 to 60, so that makes it quicker to get. The umbrite stage especially, if I remember correctly, was a faff. New items have been added to the inventory of Calamity Salvagers. The requirements for purchasing the following items from Calamity Salvagers has been adjusted. I don't know what these things are. Are these the relic crafter things? I guess they might be. Don't know. The collectible dealer in Mordona at Revenant's Toll has been removed. I have no idea who that is. Level cap for Disciples of Hand and Land has been increased to 90. Amount of XP has been adjusted because of the downscaling. Purple Crafter scripts and Purple Gatherer scripts have been added for Hand and Land at 90. And we've got the adjustments made to scripts there. Yellow Crafters and Gatherer scripts no longer available. Can't be used for item exchanges. Red Crafter scripts and Gatherer scripts have been removed. White Crafter and Gatherer scripts, the number required in exchange for items has been adjusted. Probably lowered, one would assume, because they've now been superseded by a new tier. To improve functionality of the script exchange window, categories have been reorganized in a new interface according to script type and level range, allowing players to more easily specify a desired item exchange. Wonderful. I suspect that will be super duper handy for you crafters and gatherers out there. Available menu categories for the Splendors vendor in Idleshire, or Idleshire, however you pronounce it, have been exchanged. Much lowered. Script tokens. Blue, no longer obtainable from the Splendor vendor. Can't be used for gear exchange. Same for gatherers. Script tokens. And red. Flying text will now be displayed when using items or actions that restore CP or GP. Okay. I didn't realise people were missing that, but glad it's there. New actions and traits added. Following recipes for gladiators' arms and shields have been removed and placed with recipes to craft them as a set. That's handy. I like that. Makes them much easier to do. Yeah, so all of the special things where you used to have blacksmith and armourer, you can now use either, which is good. Adjustments to the crafting log. Recipes listed under level-based recipe and special recipe tabs are now ordered from highest level to lowest level. That makes sense. Not entirely sure why they weren't that before. An option to add items to your market board favourites list has been added to the sub-command menu for recipe ingredients. Again, makes sense. Categories under housing and the special recipe tab have been adjusted quite massively. So you've got very specific categories now, which will make things easier to craft when you're messing around with that. Icon has been added to indicate high quality versions of a material may be used for an initial increase to a recipe's quality. Ah, okay. So a little icon there to show that you're going to get a slightly higher quality. Cool. Sky Steel tool materials are no longer required to be high HQ when exchanging for upgraded tools. So much the same as they did actually for gear for Disciples of War and Magic. Players above level 80 will receive a maximum of 1000 XP when submitting items to the House of Splendors or its Guardian Restoration. It's now possible to submit collectible fish with a low collectability rating to the House of Splendors. XP and scripts rewarded upon submission will be adjusted accordingly. No changes have been made to the scaling of rewards. Amount and type of crafters and gatherers skips received from custom deliveries have been adjusted. Now possible to submit collectible fish with a low collectability rating for custom deliveries. Due to the downscaling of values, progress and quality values when crafting have been adjusted. little effect on game balance. Resplendent tool components crafted prior to the release of 6.0 have been renamed obsolete resplendent tool components. Actions and traits have been added. Adjustments are made to attributes. No longer possible to gather HQ items at all. So that completely changes some of their abilities, doesn't it? Because there was one that was an increase. In fact, it was Gatherer's Boom, wasn't it? Yes. So that increases your item yield. 200% bonus to XP earned upon gathering HQ items has been replaced with 100% bonus to XP earned upon triggering the Gatherer's Boon effect. And that might arguably trigger more often. Requirement for the botanist and miner and eye4 quality achievements have been changed. New items with specific perception requirements have been added to gathering points for botanists and miners. Required perception 2,990 at level 90. Fit attribute on gatherer gear has been adjusted. Don't know why. Was that affecting things? Adjustments have been made to the gathering log. Items listed under item level tab are now ordered from highest to lowest. And Catwick is under special has been played with as well. No longer available as HQ. Items obtained from gathering or fishing. Items obtained from defeating enemies. Items exchanged for elegant tombstones. So just there's not going to be HQ items, essentially. Items crafted will still be available to HQ, but items gathered or dropped aren't going to be. Which will be good, actually, because sometimes your inventory fills up with the normal and HQ versions of the same thing, and it's double the space, realistically. But on the flip side, HQ stuff did often sell for more in some instances. So all class quests can now be completed with normal quality items. Bonuses for submission of HQ items have been removed. Base rewards have been increased. Fishers can no longer catch HQ fish and will catch large-sized fish instead. When catching a large-sized fish, there's a chance to receive the Angler's Art status effects. Can be used to execute certain actions. Mooch. And so on and so forth. Okay. Following additions and adjustments have been made to HQ items. HQ items that can no longer be obtained will now contain the message functions as a normal quality item in their description. So that will be, if you happen to have them in your inventory, they won't just be obsolete. They'll just look like they'll have the HQ kind of shimmery glow and the icon, but they won't actually do anything different to a normal version of that. Spearfishing now has a mini game, which I heard about. Use the Fathom and Shark Eye actions to locate teeming waters. As fish swim across your field of view, strike them using the gig action. So you've actually got a kind of a shooting gallery style thing. Fish are caught by striking their weak spot as they swim through the teeming waters. That's very cool. I mean, I don't have fish high enough to use spearfishing. Fish will take notice of your actions and increase their wariness. When the gauge is full, the fish will disperse, ending your attempt. Catch counter with chains. If you do it fast enough. To abandon, press escape or quit. Following adjustments have been made to spearfishing. New teeming waters. Category names for fishing records has been changed. Spearfishing in certain locations may grant players the effect of spearfishers' intuition, which allows you to locate rare species of fish that are otherwise undetectable. AAA records can now be obtained. So I guess it was up to AA before, but now you can get AAA. Ocean fishing has been adjusted to take into account the removal of HQ fish. Yeah, that just fiddles around with that. New fishing holes added. S-rank records obtained from certain fishing spots. Progress towards fishers' intuition will remain after logging it out. That's good. Sale price of base has been reduced. New tomes have been added. New gathering points added. New items added to those gathering points. Nothing new there. New items that can be used for whatever ethereal reduction is have been added. Level cap for decent has been increased. What the hell? That's the monitor thing from Omega, isn't it? From the Deltascape. Or whichever one it was. You get trapped in it as your mount. That's weird. He says. Understatement. New minions. Crab! I want the crab! New chocobo barding. Ooh, wings. I just want my legacy chocobo to accompany me as a companion. I've wanted it since the start of 2.0. We're now at 6.0. They're still not doing it. And I'm sure there's a reason why, because it's something that new players can't get. But I still want it. Can I have it, please? You can get wings now. Fashion accessories. This is the parasol system, isn't it? Which I've really not explored. Those are cool. I don't think they'd really match any glam that I'd use. But it says accessories, so it's. I'm guessing it's not just one. Yeah, interesting. System changes. We're getting towards the bottom now. In fact, this is the last chunk. New market board has been added to Old Charlayan. In accordance with the addition of a new market board, reduced tax rates have been adjusted. Retainers can now be registered in the Old Charlayan market. Retainer level cap has been raised to 90. They can now be assigned Reaper and Sage jobs. Retainers cannot be already assigned a job or must be reset if they are. Starting from level 1, which kind of sucks. Must be disciples of war magic at level 70 or higher. Must first unlock the actual jobs. Must possess a copy of modern vocation. I've actually got a retainer who is a level 70 gladiator. I was going to change him to one of the tank classes because I tend to unlock those pretty quickly. But I haven't. So he might become a Sage or a Reaper. I know I'm going to be leveling Reaper at some point because it looks cool and I'll probably be crap at it. Amount of XP required for retainers to gain levels will be reduced in accordance with the downscaling of other in-game values. So everything that can level up has been adjusted. Amount of XP rewarded upon completing retainer ventures will also be adjusted. If they're between levels, they're going to lose their XP. All of mine are capped. All 4 of mine. Following additions and adjustments have been made to retainers. New objectives have been added to delivery missions and exploration ventures. Number of items obtained upon completion of delivery missions and exploratory ventures have been increased. New items can be obtained from quick exploration. Bonus to items received for gathering delivery missions will now be affected by retainers' perception rating rather than gathering rating. I had kind of forgotten that they can do gathering, actually. But then I never level my gatherers, so it would make no sense whatsoever to turn one of them into a gatherer, because I think my highest level is like Fisher at level 38 or something. I don't even know. That's how often I do it. When selecting items in the delivery missions window for gatherers, the options search recipes using this material and search for item by gathering method have been added to the subcommand. Players can now confirm items not recorded in their gathering log when viewing the delivery missions window. Achievements window has been revamped. The near completion and recommended tabs have been added. Cool. That looks very different. And again, this is because of the abandonment of PS3, I imagine, that they've got slightly more RAM to deal with slightly cooler looks. Near completion displays all achievements that are nearly complete, rather than just having kind of a weird tab window thing on login, which I didn't really get much use out of. Recommended displays up to 4 achievements that will reward items or titles upon completion. The setting for this tab allows you to filter achievements shown based on rewards received. Interesting. I quite like that. I like the game saying, hey, look, you're pretty close to the, you might want to do these things for these rewards. I am quite that kind of focused when it comes to achievements. Get some barding from that one. Can't actually quite read what it is. New achievements and titles have been added. Following adjustments have been made to teleportation. An option has been added to only use Aetheryte tickets when the cost exceeds a specific gil allowance. That's a great change. I like that. And the fact that you can set it as well is a good one. An option to enable confirmation prompts when using Aetheryte tickets has been added. The fact that they've made it optional as well is great. It shows that they understand that some people are just going to use what they want. And some people are going to want that option. It's like, did you really mean to use this? Gil cost for teleport has been adjusted. Raised, from what I remember. This is a cool change. A map will now be displayed when selecting Ethernet destinations. I really like that. That will be super helpful in helping newbies understand where things are. Obviously, many of us who've been playing the game for a long time can get around the main cities really easily. But for places like the Crystarium, when I'm trying to get to the hunts board, I can never remember which one I have to go to, despite how many times I've done that. So that will be quite useful. Maps will not be displayed when accessing the Ethernet in Animos, Pyros, Pagos, Hydatos, Zadnor, Boja, and the Firmament. The world map has been updated to include the 3 great continents. Did it not have that before? I guess it didn't. Well, I suppose it didn't have Garlemald, did it? That was kind of covered in cloud. It's still covered in cloud. When viewing the map, players can now toggle between levels by pressing left bumper and X, or L1 and square if you're on a controller. Player search menu, well, Sage and Reaper have been added. Custom option has been added under location. So you can specify where you want to do stuff. Party list will now display the target of spells cast by party members. That's really useful. Whether people will notice is another matter entirely, but it's really useful. If the target is a party member, their number in the party list will be displayed. So you've got raise 1 to show that you're raising number 1. If the target is an enemy, their marker in the enmity list will be displayed. So it's a little bit helpful. It's not the easiest thing to read at a glance, to be fair. But realistically, it's only going to affect the healers, I would think. Following additions and adjustments have been made to the party finder. Search results will no longer include parties you cannot join due to the 1 player per job setting being enabled. Pure healers and barrier healers can now be specified when recruiting party members. When a party member withdraws from a duty that is about to start, other party members will also receive a notification that a penalty has been incurred upon the player who withdrew. Only party members who select to commence prior to a party member withdrawing will receive this notification. Yeah, so if you're one of the players that backs out as soon as the duty window pops up, everybody will be told now. Ether Compass has been moved to the collection menu. If the Ether Compass was registered to your hotbar prior to the release of 6.0, it has been replaced with the question mark icon. Can be safely removed. Yes, mine is on my hotbar, so that will turn into a question mark, and I will forget this when I open up the game. It's like, why is there a question mark here? I don't know. But to be fair, I tend to move it around anyway. HP bars will now display even when incapacitated. I quite like that change, to be honest. It will make them more noticeable. Right, this thing. I heard about this and I couldn't remember how it worked, but I seem to recall it was going to be really useful. The conditional enhancements category has been added to the HUD layout interface. From the system menu, open the HUD layout interface. After selecting any of the status info categories from the drop-down, open the UI element settings menu. Then under layout, select split elements into 4 groups. So I could have procs nice and big and obvious on my screen. I think that's what I wanted to use it for. Rather than having to keep on looking down at my enhancements bar, I could say, I've got a Thundercloud proc, or whatever. Firestarter proc. I've still got Royal whatever the top one is for Paladin. That will be useful. Following additions and adjustments have been made to ground targeting. Cursor speed setting has been changed from 0 to 100 to 0 to 200, so you've got a little bit more granularity. An option to prevent the cursor from moving beyond ground targeting range has been added. That's wonderful. I will be putting that on. An option to execute actions by pressing the action button a second time has been added. Yeah, I think that's a good change. Because it means that you don't have to click the mouse in a particular area. You can have it hovering and then hit the button again. It will auto do it. A text command to execute ground targeted actions without entering ground targeting mode has been added. Yeah, so you could drop a bubble or something on a targeted player. I think, with that. Or maybe drop it on yourself. Don't know. When submitting or trading items, right-clicking with the mouse or pressing X or square with the controller will automatically select HQ items or collectible items with the highest rating first. In accordance with the increased level cap, the conditions that must be met to set your status as new adventurer have been adjusted. Wow. Whoa. So, have played less than 168 hours now becomes has played less than 300 hours and have not completed the main scenario quest Death Unto Dawn rather than a Requiem for Heroes. Players who fulfill either of the above requirements may set their status to new adventurer. Okay. Bonus to XP earned when a mentor forms a party with a new adventurer return will now apply until level 80. Due to increased level cap, the requirements for new mentors have been adjusted. Mentor renewal. Players who are currently mentors must renew their certification during 6.0. Players who fail to do so will be unable to access certain features. New dungeons are available for Explore mode. Oh, sweet. So they've put the Stormblood dungeons in, which means I can go and take screenshots in the Siren Song Sea. Because I love that dungeon. And, yeah, so 61, 63, 65, 67, 69. Nice. In addition, instance dungeons introduced with patch 6.0 will also get Explorer mode straight off the bat. I like Explorer mode. I think it's a really good feature. And I have been to Amarot many times. Especially the final section of Amarot where you look down on the planet. Because I think that's one of the coolest visuals in the entire freaking game. Following changes have been made to G-Pose. I've been playing around with G-Pose a lot more recently. There's still some things that I don't think work like they should do, like the removal of battle effects. But I think that is actually battle effects rather than certain glowy effects. I don't know. Can now be initiated when using performance actions, so you can do music in it. Group pose has been added to the menu display when using performance. When initiated, the last pose used while playing your instruments will be set on a loop. G-Pose can now be initiated when undertaking a duty as an NPC ally or transformed into them. New frames, new stickers. NPCs that accompany you in certain quests introduced in 6.0 can be set as targets. Duties that can be recorded by the duty recorder have been changed. When selecting items being sold by your retainer, the options search for item by crafting method and search for item by gathering method have been added. When unlocking active help entries, a link to the help windows appear in the chat log. Good, because sometimes I click off on those automatically and then can't get back to them easily. The error message displayed when failing to send a tell to a player on another world who has not registered you as a friend has been adjusted. I have no idea what it's been adjusted from or to. Players can now disable resizing of the chat log window via mouse drag. That's handy, because sometimes I'd accidentally stretch that out and not mean to. Though, to be honest, during 6.0, I'll have it turned off anyway. Temporary countermeasures for easing congestion. There's a big blog post about that, which is worth looking into. The community has expanded massively over the course of the last 6 months or so, so expect logging queues. I'm on Ragnarok, which is an old server, so I suspect the queues are going to be fairly substantial. But it is an EU server, so it might not be as bad. We'll see. Ooh! Features of the DualSense wireless controller and DualShock wireless controller can now be used on the Windows version. Interesting. You can use the haptic feedback features when you've got your PlayStation 5 controller plugs in. Nice. I really like the PlayStation 5 controller. I used to use Xbox style controllers with the different analog stick positions almost exclusively. But since I got my PS5 at launch, I've fallen in love with the DualSense controller. I think it is the most comfortable controller I've ever used. I'm sure there are better ones out there, but I've got 2 of them. I've got one specifically for my PlayStation 5, and I've got that nice red one just for the PC. So I don't need to faff around with Bluetooth and stuff like that. I just think it's a really good controller to use. I really like the feel of it. So that's a funky change. I like that. I hope it doesn't mess up too many sound settings, because it might do. Support for Embodies Immerse spatial audio has been added on the DX11 version of the game. Does require the purchase of a license from the Embody website and installation of their game pack. Don't really care about that, to be honest. Additions have been made to the system config interface. Yeah, so it's in fact got it there. So if you don't want it coming through your controller, because I do use the controller for a lot of just movement around when I'm doing stuff, so that's cool. HUD tab allows you to display character portraits with battle dialogue. I'm going to be turning that on straight away. PvP Blair. That I'm going to turn on as well. That I'm probably not. I think I will forget how that works, and I quite like the feeling of deliberately placing things. That'll probably turn on as well. Ride Pillion. Interesting. Was that not a text command before? Open the Patchnotes page. That's cool. Pet Glamour. Oh, that's been changed because of how Summoner has been massively changed, I guess. Same with Pet Size. Enemy PC. GT off. Oh, that's the ground target thing. System sound speaker. Okay. Additions have been made to auto-translate, been made to the PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 5 auto-complete dictionary. New trophies have been added. The sound engine has been improved to more easily discern sound effects when a large group of players are present. Yeah, because the crowd sound was sometimes a bit overwhelming. New music, sound effects, and voices have been added. Does that just mean voices and cutscenes, or does it mean other bits and pieces as well? Data center selection screen has been changed massively, obviously, because they've got the Oceanian data center coming. When UI resolution settings set to high, i.e. 2K or 4K, the title and character selection screens will also use high-res fonts. Windows, Mac, and PS5. PS5 version will always use high-res settings. Does it not already? Well, I guess it must not, because otherwise it wouldn't be in the patch notes demo. That's why they're there. I can't say I noticed, but let's be honest, I'm not on the title or character selection screens for very long. Following additions and adjustments have been made to the game launcher. Design has been changed, theme settings have been added. Cool. Option to restore game data. Oh, so an option of fixing things. We're right at the end. We're at the end. Title screen, logo, and opening movie have been changed to those of ENDWALKER. I've already made sure that I've got OBS set up because I haven't seen or heard properly. Actually, no, I think I might have had a glimpse of the ENDWALKER title screen, but I can't remember though I looked at it for very long. But I haven't heard any of the music for ENDWALKER yet. Reaper and Sage have been added. Why does Sage not get a capital S? Have been added to the solo rankings for Palace of the Dead and Heaven on High. That took an hour and a half. Keeping in mind that all of the battle system class changes, all of the skills and abilities that have been added, aren't even in these patch notes because these are the preliminary ones. Lots of things. Lots of stuff. A lot of stuff that was to be expected. Nothing super surprising in many instances, but gives us an idea of a lot of the basics for what is new, what has changed. I don't think there's a huge amount there that we haven't heard about fed in dribs and drabs throughout the media tour and other bits and pieces. I think the biggest change was that scenario mode, which has been in the game for God knows how long, that I just hadn't unlocked or heard about because it required getting all of your trust NPCs to 80, and mine aren't there yet. I just didn't know it was a thing. So there we are. Thoughts and, more importantly, commentary. A little bit bunged up, admittedly. I'm starting to feel quite bunged up. Commentary on the preliminary patch notes. There was a lot of stuff there. A lot of stuff. But of course, it's a main patch. It's an expansion patch. A lot of this stuff, you know, you could have made assumptions about. But it sounds like there are some cool changes, especially as regards the kind of behind the scenes quality of life kind of stuff. Removing HQ gathering items is an interesting one. I don't know how crafters and gatherers will feel about that. Will it change how fast they level up and stuff? I don't know. It will certainly change the market board and how things work on that. But what I really want... Let's just check that they haven't now. I want to see the Sage and Reaper stuff, but it's not here yet. Soon it will be. But yeah, big patch notes, big stuff. I'm out of here. Thank you very much for watching, folks. Do like the video if you enjoyed it. I'll catch you for more ENDWALKER? Yeah, ENDWALKER. More ENDWALKER content next time. Doodle pip.
Thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, why not click the like button and consider subscribing. Remember, you can ring the bell notification icon to get notified when new videos go live. And until next time, cheerio.